Welcome to Group B's presentation, Navigating Differing Values Which Cause Conflict. The topic that we chose to address is how might conflict be interpreted as a difference of values, and how can leaders bring the discussion to a healthy level and build common ground. How might conflict be seen as a difference in values, Katie?
For this presentation, we focus on our roles in an academic setting, as we have all seen examples of how differences in values can lead to conflict. Witherspoon discussed the importance of values in group interaction, and when members of a group have conflict or have conflicting or even different values, it can create conflict as the group works toward its common task.
An example of this might be faculty who value autonomy and academic freedom disagree with faculty who believe that teaching and learning methods should be evaluated based upon how well students achieve outcomes. Faculty from the academic freedom autonomy camp desire the ability to teach and evaluate learning based upon their experiences and preferred methods of teaching practice. Faculty who value evaluation teaching and learning practices want to practice in a manner which promotes the best student outcomes. This conflict could also be seen as a difference between faculty who are student-centered and faculty who are faculty-centered.
Our presentation will focus on how leaders can facilitate conversations when group members hold different values. How can leaders help? One, they can focus on common ground, taking a look at the shared mission and values, facilitate understanding regarding individual backgrounds, and cast vision that aligns with common goals. And two, encourage discussion by welcoming different perspectives, of course respecting boundaries, and creating a safe environment for speaking. A leader needs to be keenly aware of the position of staff with regard to mission and values, emphasizing the importance of the mission and the support for the mission across all cultures and departments. What is the buy-in by the rank and file? Does the mission statement still resonate with staff, and are they excited about their role with regards to it? Understanding that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Leaders set the tone as to how the group should respond to varying perspectives. Bergquist and Pollock discuss having an appreciative perspective in relation to culture, but this can also apply to individual differences in values. By approaching differing values with a spirit of appreciation and inquiry, leaders can help group members to understand the basis of their coworkers' ideas, which facilitates more productive discussion.
Christy, how can encouraging different opinions help the process? Won't it just slow down the decision making?
When trying to promote healthy and productive discussion, a leader can also help by actually encouraging multiple perspectives. It's part of a leader's role to gather appropriate information for decision making, and this can be done best by engaging people with varying perspectives and values. This does not make the discussion faster, but it allows the team to make decisions with more complete information.
As conflict arises due to differing values, leaders need to be able to share their vision regarding the organization's goals and how to reach them. Nader, Gerstein, and Shaw stated, a clearly focused endpoint is necessary if priorities at all levels of the organization are to be coordinated and synergistic. Through clear articulation of vision and goals, leaders build support and help members understand direction. This direction includes not only where the endpoint is, but where is the organization starting and what are some of the potential transitional stages along the way in order to navigate conflict which may arise. When working with individuals or teams who are not committed to the vision, the leaders need to lay out how the individuals or teams' jobs and responsibilities fit into the vision. Leaders need to be able to answer the question, what's the purpose of the plan and where do I fit? People who understand goals and how their jobs relate to them are much more inclined to exert their best efforts. Often, when conflicting parties are given the space and time needed to work through the conflict, common ground is more readily found, and a zone of effective change will emerge. Bowman and Gaius asserted that adaptive leaders need to embrace conflict in order to reap the potential possibilities that exist when conflict occurs. They suggest that instead of protecting people from the outside threat, adaptive leaders let people feel the threat in order to stimulate necessary learning and growth. Instead of orienting people to their current roles, they disorient them so that new roles, relationships, and views of the future can develop. Rather than quelling conflict, they intensify it, but in a way that constituents can accept. Instead of defending norms, leaders challenge them and talk openly and often about what they're doing and why. Katie, what are some other ways adaptive leaders can bring discussions to a healthy level and build common ground?
Well, some are familiar with the phrase iron sharpens iron, and this phrase can be found in Proverbs 27, verse 17. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And I think this passage is something adaptive leaders need to identify with and also be comfortable with. Adaptive leaders can share this phrase and the idea behind it when there is conflict. We can all mutually benefit with the rubbing of our ideas together. We can become sharper and more efficient by working together, and this can help to develop a common ground and an understanding that they need to work together. So when there is conflict, it is really important to understand the boundaries of others or the other culture's boundaries. Individuals, teams, and groups, departments, organizations, and cultures all have boundaries. And as Dr. Dahl shared with us in her presentation on leading and being led by systems, there are different types of boundaries. There are external boundaries between groups, and there is a certain degree of permeability between them. There are internal boundaries that also exist, and one can find a degree of enmeshment of boundaries as well as a degree of disengagement between them. One will also find ambiguous boundaries, such as whether there's a physical or psychological boundary or the presence or absence of an aspect of the boundary. Ambiguous boundaries really cause stress, and they are a gamble in terms of how to move forward when there is an issue. Boundary work is really about mutual respect, and if there is safety, trust, and mutual respect, relationships will develop and a common ground can be established. The book Crucial Conversations also provides us with some insight into how leaders can bring a discussion to a healthy level. There are really three primary items that make a conversation crucial. The first is opinions varying. Each party is coming at the conflict from a different perspective, and they all have different opinions about what should be done. Also, stakes are high. Everyone involved in the conflict has a stake in the game, and there is an outcome that's going to impact them. And the last one is emotions running strong. Individuals are passionate about their work, their opinions, their values, and their beliefs, and this passion causes emotions to run strong. Leaders need to understand how to bring crucial conversations to a healthy level, and some of the ways this can be done is by following the 7 steps presented in the Crucial Conversations text. They are starting with the heart, staying in dialogue, making it safe, don't get hooked by emotions, agree on a mutual purpose, separate facts from story, and agree on a clear action plan. So in terms of how a leader can bring a conflict to a healthy level, making the environment safe is key. In order for individuals to open up and discuss the issue at hand, they need to feel safe. Leaders need to understand the cues around them to identify when someone is not feeling safe, so paying attention to their body language is really important. They also need to be observing others while observing themselves. Their own behaviors and their own body language will send cues to those involved in the conflict. And if a situation does start to become unsafe, the leader needs to be able to step outside of the conversation and stay focused on the vision, outcome, and the context of the discussion. And one way they can do this is by clarifying the intent of the discussion. So listening is really key to creating a safe environment. If leaders can listen intently to those that are in the conflict, they can in turn expect them the others in the conflict to listen intently to them.
And values. Cast a vision for an enhanced direction while welcoming different perspectives. And respecting boundaries in an environment that is open and safe can bring discussion to a healthy level even when value conflicts arise.